Ladies and gentlemen, we are back. Thank you for joining us. This is Brandon Croucher, CEO of Delight Cafe. I have Joe. Kobe already with the first comment. Kobe, I love it, my friend.
Not first or last.
Look at that. I love that. We have a great show today. I am so excited for our guest today. He is a chiropractor, but he's not just any chiropractor, guys. He is one of the top chiropractors in the U.S. He speaks.
You're taking my line.
I'm sorry. I was just excited. I'm so sorry. Joe, go over. You start over. I'm sorry.
So, everybody, we have a real special guest, and honestly, we love all of our guests. They're all special to us. But Dr. Roger is a very unique guest today. So let me get into a little bit of who Dr. Roger is, and then we're going to bring him on. So Dr. Roger is one of the leading physicians in spinal decompression. He is a board certified in spinal decompression. He is one of the 20 physicians across the country of the International Medical Advisory Board of Spinal Decompression. He's been nominated as one of the best spinal decompression physicians in the USA multiple times. He's the VP of the International Disc Education Association, and he's been on one of the speakers of the National Spinal Decompression Conference for the last 2 years in Dallas and Atlanta. So there is no one in Northeast Ohio more certified and qualified. He also carries the premier and cutting-edge technology. Both of his offices in Ashtabula and Cleveland, like Willoughby Hills location. So if you have any herniated bulge disc, stenosis, sciatica, pinched nerves, definitely call one of his offices, get a hold of Dr. Roger in Ashtabula, Cleveland, Willoughby Hills location. So, guys, I welcome you, Dr. Roger. It's an honor to have him and to get some expertise from him.
Woo! Yes,
there
definitely honored to be on your guys' show. So thank you guys both for having me here. Very, very excited.
So first thing we're doing, I love it. I have all these random people throwing out the Care Bears because I've worn a Care Bear onesie and all that on here, so it's fun. What's up, Jessica? Hi, Mo. Hi, April. So, Dr. Roger, you are like blowing up. Like, it's fun to watch your social media because you never know what's going to pop up there. You have professional athletes. You have professional football players I saw recently. You've had you keep people going and all this, but the thing is, a lot of people don't understand what chiropractors really do. Like, they just think they crack you, and I know there's way more than that. Tell us a little bit about what you do and what made you decide to become a chiropractor.
So what made me become a chiropractor is like physicians run in my family. So my father is actually a medical doctor. He's a OBGYN. My sister is a physical medicine rehab doctor. Doctors run deep through my family. So growing up, as you saw the medicine, I really liked the natural side of it, so working out, the CBD oil, supplements, natural health, exercise. And that was what I really believed in. So chiropractic is, the nervous system. The body has this amazing ability to heal itself as long as you get it going in the right direction. So, for example, the way chiropractic works, as a chiropractor, we look for things that are out of alignment, which we call like a subluxation. So, for example, if someone is right-handed, they have a tendency to do things repetitive. They tilt to the right. So if there's pressure on the nerve, the nerves from your back, for example, could go to your legs. All the muscles in your body are controlled by nerves from your spine. Every organ in your body is controlled by nerves from your spine. So if there's no nerve interference, your body works at its best. That's what chiropractic is about.
Go ahead, Joe. I saw you getting ready to ask a question. Sorry.
Oh, no, I was just going to say, Dr. Roger, I bet you your guys' family talks around the dinner table are way more advanced than mine. With all the doctors in the house, probably use a whole different language that I don't know.
Yes. I mean, we definitely do. And obviously the second thing, obviously I specialize in, which makes me different than other chiropractors, is spinal decompression. I'm the highest certified physician in Northeast Ohio in spinal decompression. The majority of my practice concerns people who have herniations, bulges, stenosis, people who want to avoid back or neck surgery. I see a lot of professional athletes, football players, a lot of mixed martial art fighters. And obviously my goal is to keep them going. So, our tables at our office, it worked by causing, I guess, if you think about a herniated disc like a jelly donut, it means the jelly's outside the donut. So the key question, I don't care who you go see, is how you can get the jelly back inside the donut and off that nerve is the key. So our table is our office. What we usually do, we get a pre-MRI that actually shows somebody has a herniation or the jelly's outside the donut. And after we go through a series of spinal decompression visits, at the end, we take a re-MRI to show actually the herniation has reduced.
And I love it because, Dr. Roger, I know I got to talk to you with Gerald the first time you went, and you were super welcoming, super open, and very informative. And for lack of better words, you made it to where I can understand it and what you were saying, which was awesome because me being a gym guy, chiropractor is something I've always wanted to learn more about. And I know we already had a couple of people comment in the chat saying I got all the questions for Dr. Roger. So I'm going to let Brandon get right into the first question for you. Some of them are obviously easier, and I'm sure questions you hear on a regular basis during consultations. So let's get into a little bit about that so our chat can learn more from you.
I love it. So first thing I'm going to ask, is it safe? Because I love to crack my own back, and I don't think that's as safe as going to you. So is it safe to go to a chiropractor, or can I just lean over my couch right here and like crack my back and you'd look at me and be like, why are you doing that?
So anytime you actually hear a cracking or a popping sound, endorphins are being released. So even if you pop it the wrong way or the right way, actually you feel better. That's why people get addicted to actually like self-adjusting themselves. But the key is, as a chiropractor, we look for an imbalance, something that is out of alignment, and we put that back in place. If you self-adjust your neck, you kind of turn and turn, you're going to actually adjust the same exact area over and over. So even though you hear a popping sound, you feel better, you're going to have to keep doing it repetitively. So you eventually cause an imbalance where the bottom area is too loose and the top areas are actually stuck. So that's why we recommend obviously coming to the professional.
Yes.
When you do it yourself, you're adjusting, even though you feel slightly better, it becomes addictive and you're adjusting the wrong area.
Oh, yeah. One of the questions we just got, can I make an appointment right now? I'm going to throw your link in there so people can literally go to be able to schedule an appointment with you as soon as possible. Guys, so you actually have some pretty cool things there with everything you're doing. I mean, you literally have a machine, and I will not be able to give the full explanation of what you have, but you have a machine that you showed me, and you were like, yeah, me and the Cleveland Clinic are the only ones that have it. I'm like, what? Like, that's not something every person says every day. Can you tell us about what that machine does and why it's so unique that you have one of these and what you can do it with?
Yeah, so we have a machine at our office. It's called the Matrix. Very cool name. It's an electroanalgesia machine. So when people understand, like, if you have like a typical TENS unit or electrical stimulation, which you could take home, a TENS unit goes up to the 80 megahertz. An electrical stimulation that most chiropractors and physical therapists has goes to about 150 megahertz. The Matrix or the electroanalgesia machine actually goes up to 10,000 megahertz. So the cool thing about this machine is why people love this machine. It is our favorite machine, especially by professional athletes. If you get it above 4,000 megahertz, which we make sure it does, it actually breaks down a pain chemical called CAMP, C-A-M-P. So when people get a cortisone or epidural shot, it doesn't actually fix the problem. It blocks this pain chemical. So when people go on this machine, you instantly, effectively feel better. The second thing I tell people, your body can heal itself. So people ask, how's it heal itself? By circulation and blood flow. So if you get a massage, circulation, blood flow, you do heat, ice, circulation, blood flow. So if we hook it up to your shoulder, your elbow, you're getting above between 4,000 and 10,000 megahertz of energy and circulation going through that area to also help it heal.
Is that like normal? That sounds like a lot. Like that's, yeah.
So obviously too, like I said, it heals by your body heals by circulation. It actually is very, very comfortable over time. People love the machine. We have people who come in here who could barely walk. We get it kicked up to about 10,000 megahertz, and they walk out of there without any pain. So the first time you do it, then people ask how long the pain relief lasts. It usually lasts between 8 hours to 2 days. But the more you do it, the longer it lasts.
That's amazing. That is honestly amazing. Jessica Dugas asked, are there any spinal injuries that should not be treated with chiropractic?
Good question.
Very good question there. So obviously, I'm a chiropractor and obviously a spinal decompression physician. So, when someone has like a major herniation, we put them in the spinal decompression program. We don't twist, we don't turn them. A second thing, which is contraindicated, if somebody has instability of the spine. So if they have like a slippage, like a spondylolisthesis, and it's above a grade 1, then it's contraindicated. So if the spine is unstable, and it's contraindicated chiropractic. That's where the other machines that we have come in, like the Matrix and our spinal decompression. But definitely, if the spine is unstable, it's something that we would want to adjust.
Makes sense. What about kids? Would you say kids could come get like an alignment and everything like that, or is that something to avoid?
So a very good question there. So obviously, too, I get that asked all the time if I adjust kids, and we adjust kids all the way from infants to the teenagers. When they're infants, they come in. I mean, I always tell people when you get a natural birth, when the head comes out, it's all torqued. When babies actually usually come see us, and not just unless they're a regular chiropractic patient, usually the baby either is colicky, they're scratching their ear, and the medical doctor wants to do like an ear surgery or whatnot. So we have huge success with babies that are colicky or have ear infections. We regularly see toddlers and teenagers, but it's not like adults. I mean, as a toddler, and toddlers are pretty active. So, 1 or 2 adjustments a year could definitely help.
That's definitely my new fun fact of the day. And I'm yelling at my mom because I had all the things she listed and she didn't do any of those things.
And that's why Joe, is that why you're, never mind. I was going to make a short joke, but I'm not that much taller than you. So it's not worth it.
Yeah, be careful over there.
Joe just shows up. Jessica Dugas just asked another good question. Is there any way to help an unstable spine without needing surgery?
So obviously, when we're talking about unstable, it depends on what kind of stability we're talking about. Again, if we're talking about a slippage of the spine, then obviously too, I mean, we're not actually adjusting the patient as much versus working like on posture and strengthening exercises. Also, if somebody's suppose the vertebra is slipping forward, we want to make sure that patient is not gaining weight in the front of their stomach and then slipping forward even more. So patients who have a slippage or instability, we go more to gentle chiropractic and obviously the machines like the Matrix and spinal decompression.
Very nice. This is going to be a fun one. Do you need to have a doctor, like an MD, refer you to seeing a chiropractor? I know that sounds weird, but there's a lot of people that are nervous about that stuff, and there's misconceptions about chiropractors out there. I even asked Joe if he knows anything, like the jokes that they make on like How I Met Your Mother. And right. I'm like, because there's that misconception out there, a lot of people don't know what the real goods are behind that. So people, do they need a doctor's note, or is it just something that, like, no, if you're hurting, how would they know to go see a chiropractor?
So obviously, too, that's a very, very good question. We do not need, with most insurances, to have a medical doctor referral. I do get a ton of referrals from medical doctors because my father was a medical doctor, especially in Ashtabula. I actually have medical doctors that actually come into my office, that believe in more natural health. So you do not need a referral to come to the office. Most insurances actually pay for chiropractic per year. And obviously we accept, all forms of insurance, cash, etc.
Very cool. Very cool. Joe, go ahead, buddy. I keep asking questions. Just
I know we had a whole list for Dr. Roger because it's not too often, we get someone as special as him in the state of Ohio, which is a beautiful thing to have in Ohio that maybe a lot of people don't think of. And Dr. Roger, let me ask you this, because I asked you this question, and I still have your business card. It's on my list of things to get to. When does somebody really know, like, hey, let's go schedule a consultation? When, like, if they're experiencing maybe certain signs in their spine, muscles, when's like a good starting point for them to book that consultation with you and your staff to know, like, hey, this is an avenue I should probably look into before, obviously, like you said, major surgeries with long recovery times and, big hospital bills. Because I'm a big believer, and I know Brandon is too, that's why we're in the CBD industry, of a more natural remedy and a natural approach to the human body. So that's why I love what you do and love what you offer. And you're just a very welcoming person. And I know a lot of people don't know this. You do so much for so many, as much as you can to help. So when is a good time to really book that consultation?
I mean, I really believe, because obviously like CBD oil and natural health, that, I mean, if you're having any kind of issues, low back pain, neck pain, even when there's pain and it goes away, it's a sign that something's going on. So, I recommend initially when people come in, and they're having some pain, that we tried natural chiropractic first. We say, hey, maybe it's an alignment issue. We start with the more non-invasive stuff first. So, hey, maybe we get you better with a few adjustments. Maybe we get you better with the matrix. Usually when people come in, we set you with a series, maybe like 5-6 visits. And usually if you don't get better, then we send you for imaging, like x-rays, and then eventually having MRIs. The majority of the people who come to my office for consultations, they have MRIs that show that they have a herniation, that they have like bulging or stenosis. And obviously they're facing surgery. A lot of times, I don't want to say that's too late, but I always tell people, if you talk to any top surgeon or even look up online, they always say, surgery should be the last thing you should consider. So the body, again, has an amazing ability to recover as long as you get it going in the right direction. So.
Absolutely. And Dr. Roger, I mean, my dad has a lot of issues, and I talked to you about it briefly when I seen you, and his surgeon said the same thing. He goes, you want back surgery and everything is a very, very last resort. And I think that's a good sign that you go to a good doctor too. Like, they want you to really seek other forms of treatment that are going to be beneficial before that big surgery day. And I know you speak on that a lot too. And so question I have, and I know I asked you this in person, but it's been some time. When I started having some back issues, right, I was like, do I go to a chiropractor? Do I go to a massage therapist? What's a good differentiation of like being able to like make that choice? Or how do you know, like, choose one or the other, or maybe both?
Very, very good question. And actually at both my offices, especially my Ashtabula office, we have a massage therapist. In my Willoughby, Cleveland office, we have one that comes a couple of times a month. They really go hand in hand, so I always tell people, your spine, the nerves from your spine, go to your muscles. So obviously, making sure you're properly aligned can definitely help. Also, for example, I mean, if you did some lifting or postural things, your muscle hurts, then you can use a massage. So again, the key I tell people is circulation, blood flow, and that's how most of the machines work. If you get a massage, you get circulation, blood flow to that area so it can heal. If you do heat and ice, you get circulation, blood flow. So I really believe, I mean, not only does massage and chiropractic work well together, I mean, I believe also afterwards, physical therapy, making sure you're taking the proper supplements. I mean, people are in pain nowadays. I mean, the number one reason for pain, number one reason for the opioid epidemic was failed back surgeries. So, doing chiropractic, doing CBD oil, spinal decompression, it's highly recommended before that.
I did not know that. I know that the opiate epidemic exists in the U.S., but I did not know the leading cause of it was back pains and all that.
Yeah.
So people who are dealing with this, there's a couple comments that have come in about spinal fusions when they were 16. It's gotten worse, and she has issues now. They were wondering about different alternatives and stuff. How would a person be able to start pushing themselves in that right direction towards, instead of thinking of they need a surgery or something on their back, because they're not wanting to do that. If it's needed, it's needed. I want to clarify that. That way I'm not saying not to get surgeries, but how would you recommend people know whether, like, if they should see a chiropractor before going into surgery or anything like that? What would be a good technique for that?
So, I mean, I definitely believe in trying all avenues first. Obviously, I mean, you could try exercise, you could try physical therapy. If somebody is coming with a fusion to my office, I always tell people the reason, all fusions fail is your spine functions as a unit. So if you fuse two areas together, there's mechanical stress above and below. So almost, and they say in 100% of fusions, they all falter above and below. So if you get one fusion, I mean, you usually have to get another one, because of that fact. So nowadays, I mean, most surgeons don't even recommend fusions unless it's absolutely necessary because of the success rate of those. So at my office too, if somebody comes in with a fusion, and they have a herniation above or below, like our spinal decompression table is an AccuSpine. It's the #1 rated spinal decompression table in the country. It can pull at one disc at a time. So I mean, obviously, if somebody has a problem above and below, our tables can specifically pull above and below. You can't pull at the fusion.
Right, and then that's because they became one unit, right, doctor?
Correct. And it's because it becomes one. That area is good, but again, it causes other problems with the spine. You know, again, mechanical stress above and below. So most people eventually get a herniation above and below the fusion, and that's where the problem is.
And that makes a lot of sense the way you explained it, of how it all works together kind of like a team, and then you fuse those two things, and then it's a temporary fix for that, but then it's creating more issues. So my next question to you, Dr. Roger, is going to be kind of simple. I was always recommended to go to like Walgreens, CVS, Drug Mart, and get those, $30 to $40 TENS unit for like minor lifting things. What's kind of your advice on that? Is that like a good little piece of equipment to have at home just to kind of get some circulation if you're into fitness?
Oh, definitely. I'm a huge believer. Hey, when people say this work, whatever works, I always tell people to go for it. Especially a TENS unit. Again, it's about getting that circulation to that area. So it definitely can help. A lot of people feel like, hey, I'm using heat and ice at home and it doesn't work. Obviously, it's working. It's getting circulation, blood flow to that area. Everything takes. Suppose somebody has a herniation. I always tell people this is a marathon, not a sprint. It's kind of like going to the gym. If you're going to go to the gym for 6 visits, or go to physical therapy for 6 visits, you're not going to be stronger in 6 visits. I mean, certain things take time. So definitely a TENS unit. I highly recommend it. Again, because it's getting circulation, blood flow to the muscles or the tendons.
So
Absolutely.
I have a question. April Myers is commenting. She said she stumbled the show yesterday, but her right side hurts now. She's wondering what she can do, but she does explain in a couple more comments that she's been through 2 different physical therapy 2 different times, and then they haven't been able to find anything on X-rays and all that. What would be something she could do before going and scheduling an appointment and all that? Like stretches, what could she do for back pains just at home that people might be able to practice and then go to see you?
So when people say, hey, they've obviously gotten a physical therapy, or they've tried something and it's obviously still hurting. And again, I don't know how old April is, but I always tell people, anyone under the age of 50, I consider young. And if you're under the age of 50, you should have a normal X-ray, because it shows disc space. So an X-ray shows arthritis and degeneration, which usually happens over the age of 50. So when people are at home and they say, what can I do at home? Obviously, before I go see the chiropractor. I mean, you can try the heat, you can try the ice. If it's a recent injury, I highly recommend the first at least 48 hours using ice. Then obviously you can use heat for no more than 15 minutes. You could do that. You could try stretches, but if I do any kind of stretches, I'd make sure my back is flat on the ground, pulling your knee to your chest. And I always tell people, people always ask about strengthening exercise. If your back really hurts, sometimes it's hard initially to do exercises when it hurts. So, things also like CBD oil. I mean, I highly recommend, obviously to ease that pain, and then obviously if those things don't work, then coming into the office, if somebody's actually younger, an MRI is so much more detailed. You can have a perfectly normal X-ray and have 3 herniations in your back.
Really?
Wow.
I didn't know that. You deal a lot with athletes. Have you seen that the pain in their backs or the spines have been hit a little bit more, like, or go through more damage than your normal person? I mean, Gerald is a good example of that. I know Gerald goes to you to be able to get aligned, and it's like an athlete. It feels good for him. It's good stuff. But you deal with a lot of athletes, and I know that you have a good reputation with them. Is it because of needing this, or is it actually like you're helping them connect everything?
A good question again. So, most professional sporting teams actually carry, a team chiropractor for the reasons, first of all, it helps you recover faster, also helps you perform better if you're straighter. So like a guy like Gerald, I mean, he's coming in obviously to make sure he's functioning at his best. You know, he's now turning pro. And he's undefeated as a welterweight with a huge potential. So he wants to make sure his body's functioning at its best. You know, so I always tell people, especially the athletes, they want to do everything. They want to do the heat, the ice. They want to do the CBD oil. They want to do the chiropractic, the spinal decompression. I get a lot of football players. They do even NFL guys. They do the IV drips with the nutrition. They get the massage. And I'm a total believer that it all works together to make the best.
Now, you're very health conscious yourself. I know this being someone who follows you, who's gotten to meet you firsthand. You have pictures of you at the gym. You have pictures of you making sure you're eating right and stuff like that. I saw that lobster picture the other day, and I got really jealous because it looked so delicious. I was so hungry. But like, even down to the foods, I would think like that's something you'd recommend with people that maybe are dealing with back pain. Are there any foods or anything that you would recommend people try switching their diet or anything to help with pain management?
100%. I mean, diet's huge. What you eat is obviously your fuel. I mean, if somebody has pain, you want more of like an anti-inflammation diet. You don't want somebody who has all these processed sugars, excess sugars, anything like white bread, white pastas. You don't want to have candies or anything with full of sugar. You know, that slows the body down from healing. You know, and obviously too, if somebody's battling injury, you want to have the good fats. You know, avocados, fish, things that obviously cause less inflammation on the body is the key. Make sure. Another thing I tell people, especially for the back, people don't realize. You know, again, majority of my patients are disc problems, so people don't realize. Your body's mainly water. So your disc is 86% water, your muscles 92% water, your brain's 95% water. I mean, you need at least 10 plus glasses of water a day. The majority of patients that come in my office that maybe have a lot of degeneration, I ask that question, how much water do they drink? And it's usually none or 1 or 2 glasses a day, which is not enough.
No, not even.
Dr. Roger, I agree. And to kind of piggyback what we've been talking about the last 10 minutes and what you said, my point with healthy food, I like to tell people, is we've gotten very spoiled over the years. But our ancestors, they literally ate food to survive, and it was fuel. It wasn't this glorious thing with these nice, plates that look beautiful and all these string sugars and all this crazy stuff. Don't get me wrong. I know we all love to indulge, and there's nothing wrong with that once in a while. But food at its core is fuel for the body. And that's how we keep going. And my secondary thing I kind of want to talk about, and this leads into the questions we've been asking you, is there little tips and tricks people can do? Because I know I have a posture issue because of video games and typing. We do this shoulder thing like this too much, and that can cause problems. Are there little things like that you recommend just to kind of make people more self-aware throughout their workday or home life, like little things they could start working on, and of course, as they come see you, you would build upon those. But is there like little tips and tricks for just the average person at home?
Oh, definitely. I mean, obviously, the first thing I tell people, like you said, you're on the computer, people are texting, and everything is in front of us. So everybody's head posture is way more anterior than it should be. If you look at people who have upper back problems, their shoulders are rolled forward. So one of the exercises, the simple exercises that we try to teach just patients in general, you could make, it's called like chin tucks. You could, put your chin back, like make a double chin, and it contracts the muscles in the back. So it helps you be straighter. The second thing I really highly recommend is, working the middle back, even squeezing your shoulder blades together 10 or 15 times, and it pulls your shoulders back. So anything that kind of pulls you back, keeps you in proper posture. Obviously too, another thing I tell people, it's huge about lifting and bending techniques. I hear probably once or twice a day, hey doc, my back was doing fantastic. Now I bent over, I picked up this piece of paper, or I tied my shoe, now my back went out. Now I tell people, it wasn't you tied your shoe, is you probably weren't bending properly over the time, and eventually it catches up to you. So using your legs to bend, keeping your back straight, all things that can definitely help you.
Absolutely. And I know, being in the gyms too, I tell people, I'm like, you got to learn to lift your legs and not all your back muscles, and that because you cause a lot of problems that way. But doctor, I want everybody in the chat to know, and then obviously, we're going to put this episode out so many other people can get all these great questions and expertise from you. how simple is it to really just begin the consultation process? Like, what's the cost for them? How simple is it? And what's the value they get besides being able to have that face-to-face with you? Like, what is all considered in that, so all these people know, like, it's not that hard to get started. It's not that big of a process.
Not at all. Like, usually, for example, when people come to the office with any kind of issue, we could use your insurance. We could start with the chiropractic part. Hey, maybe, like I said, maybe it's you've never been adjusted and you need an adjustment. You need an alignment. Maybe you got spasms in your neck and your back, and you need the matrix, or you need to get some circulation to help that heal. Obviously, consultation-wise, the majority of the consultations, they're all free. The consultations are, you want to come in and talk.
You guys hear that? Free.
Yeah, the free consultations. I mean, some people don't have an MRI, and then obviously, a lot of times I can figure out what's wrong with them from their pain pattern. But still, I say, hey, let's try some chiropractic first, then we get you the X-rays and MRIs. The majority of the patients that do come for the consultations actually have MRIs. Then what we usually do when they come in, we actually go over their MRIs. We show you what's wrong with them. And we give you all the medical research on our tables. Our table is the most medically researched table in the country. Okay, so it's backed by Dr. Norman Shealy. Dr. Norman Shealy is a Harvard neurosurgeon and teaches neurosurgery at Harvard University. The last thing we usually do is, obviously answer any question. Well, the huge thing I do at my office, and no other doctor does, I take it before MRI, and then after they do the spinal decompression, I take it after MRI. So then I show the patients here, hey, look at this person. They were facing major back surgery. Now after spinal decompression, they're not.
Right. And I love that you do that, doctor, because, for a lot of people, they are skeptical about more natural forms of medicine. And I think it's great. It's kind of like when they do a personal training thing. You got your before and after, you get to see the results. And a lot of us were very big on see it and believe it. So I think that's wonderful that they can see where they started their process and journey with you. And over time, they get to see the results of that consistent action, that coming to see you once or twice a week. And I know we all act so busy, and that's why I really wanted you to go over the consultation, how it is free. The only thing you're paying for is the gas and time to come meet you, and then building that plan. And obviously, you go over that with them and their insurance and stuff and make them comfortable and try to meet their needs. But it's not hard to just drive there and get started with you. And that's what I want everybody to understand, because we get one car to drive through life. How you take care of it is up to you.
100% agree. I always say the greatest wealth is your health. I mean, this is the truth. When most people see me, I say, how important is your way of life? How important is walking? How important is, being able to use your arms, use your legs? Your health is the most important thing that you have.
Yeah. So I got a text message sent to me instead of being able to make a comment. And they asked, Brian Fluke asked, will it help people with scoliosis seeing a chiropractor?
Good question there also. So obviously we have quite a few people coming with scoliosis, from younger to older. When they're under the age of 18, it's really important to obviously first take an X-ray so you can measure the scoliosis, and then obviously to monitor it. When people are growing, the curves can really, really change, at that time. So, obviously depending on the curve, we do see we do see scoliosis patients regularly. We can actually do a little traction to lengthen their spine. And obviously too, it's very interesting. If somebody's really out of alignment and their scoliosis looks a lot worse, so getting them adjusted can definitely help.
Can you make my back longer so I'm taller? I'm just under 6 feet, so I need a good inch and a quarter to get up there. No, just kidding.
That's a good question, because people don't realize, when I talk to patients, especially in their 60s, a lot of times they say, hey, doc, I was once, 6'1", now I'm 5'10". And people don't understand that loss is coming through their disc height. So our spinal decompression tables, again, your disc is mainly water. It's 86% water. So when we do the spinal decompression, I tell you, it's not about yanking you apart. It's about causing a negative pressure to your disc. So it's like a slow drip of oxygen, water, nutrients coming to your disc, so it actually can heal itself. We take X-rays of patients too, and showing, hey, look how small your disc is here from the side. And after you do the spinal decompression, we can even do a comparison and show how much, how much wider their disc space is. So they actually get height back.
That's interesting. So I'm gonna come visit you, just so you know, next time I'm on. I know where you are because I grew up in the area you live in now. I saw you tag what city you're in, and I'm like, oh, I grew up out there. I can go say hi to Dr. Roger whenever.
Anytime, you guys are welcome.
I love it. Thank you. Jessica Dugas had another question. Does an open MRI show enough, or is it required to have a regular one?
Good question again. So obviously, too, I send most of my MRIs. It's a place called NOMS, or it used to be called Precision Diagnostic Imaging. It is an open MRI, but it's a high field. Okay, so the pictures actually come out very, very clear. There's a lot of patients that actually are claustrophobic. One thing I tell people this: I'm not a radiologist, so I don't get paid to obviously read MRIs. So when somebody has a herniation, I always tell people, I need a radiologist to tell me the size. I mean, nobody can eyeball the size. So when I send the patient to NOMS, they have the same radiologist reading all my MRIs, and I need exactness. So I need the exact size of the herniation, and for the reason of, hey, when we do a comparison, so we have numbers to compare with. So an open MRI, as long as it's a high field, and the images come out really beautiful. So to answer that question, I mean, you could do a closed MRI, or you could do, as long as it's a quality MRI machine, open MRI machine, the pictures come out pretty good.
So you recently were asked to speak. I'm trying to find the picture behind here of your conversation that you were having just recently. You were asked to speak at a conference for chiropractors and all that, and the health benefits, and why it's good to be kept up in the knowledge of what's happening with the body and all that. Can you tell us a little bit about that?
So I was asked, obviously, the last 2 years to speak at the National Spinal Decompression Conference. 2 years ago in Dallas, this past November 2020 in Atlanta. So it's a very interesting story. I tell people, I actually, I'm not the biggest fan of public speaking, but over time, I've become decent at it. So usually when I go talk, I actually want to be one of the first speakers. So this past year, before I spoke, I actually took one of the CBD oils, and I really felt it naturally calmed me. But actually, I wasn't the first speaker, so I took the second half dose. And when I was up there, I mean, I really felt I was totally calm. My nerves weren't there. But I always tell people this, and that's why I love helping people out. I mean, you got to give to get back. So anytime I have doctors calling me all the time, asking me questions or texting me, I'm more than welcome to answer any of those questions. I also have patients texting me or messaging me on Facebook. Anytime there's a question, I try to answer it for them.
Oh, this is funny. Sorry, this just came in. That was perfect. So a lot of our fans are from all over the world. So you have Jessica right here. She went to Michigan all the way from Alabama for her cardiologist. Maybe she needs to go to Ohio for her chiropractor.
Yes.
She's rebuilding. You are rebuilding her confidence. Thank you, Dr. Roger, for answering her questions. Who knew how great you were going to be with influencing people like that? I knew. But you really do. But for the people that aren't going to drive to Ohio, even though they should just to meet you because
Right.
You are amazing, how would someone know they're looking for a good chiropractor? Like what should we look for if you're looking for a chiropractor? Or do we just go to Dr. Roger?
Just go to Dr. Roger. But
Yeah,
that's an
just Dr.
interesting
Roger.
question because, usually when you come to the chiropractor, I mean, you usually have to go more than once, so. I mean, it was very interesting. Well, I had the Ashtabula office. I actually got a call. It was from Strong Style. And they said, hey, we have a professional fighter here that needs your services. And I said, Strong Styles. I'm a big MMA fan. So I was like, that's a 90-minute drive to my office, though, in Ashtabula. And the fighter said he wanted to make the drive. So he actually drove my office. We went over his MRIs. The surgeon said he's not going to be fighting again unless he has the surgery. He went through the spinal decompression program. He drove 90 minutes twice a week for 4 months to come to Ashtabula. We retook the MRI, and from never fighting again, he fought in February, he fought in July, and he's fought in November. And then I just got the call the other day, actually, from one of the top female wrestlers, college wrestlers in the country, and then she's going to drive 2 hours to come see me. So, obviously, I recommend if you can find somebody closer.
Yeah.
A lot of times, too, I mean, if you don't know the certifications of chiropractors, obviously, you can look up online. You could ask when you go to the town, you could ask, about that, if there's a good chiropractor or spinal decompression doctor. I'm in a group called Distance America, so we're the highest trained spinal decompression physicians in the United States. And there's a website, so you could put actually your zip code in there to see if you can find one of our doctors. Is another way. But if you can't, like I get asked, there's a guy from Colorado that want to come here. I said it's going to take more than once. Let me see if I can find you somebody. And I was able to call around and find him, at least talk to the receptionist, talk to the doctor, and find somebody that was, that would work with them.
That's awesome. You're such a genuine guy. The fact that you went out of your way to actually find a good chiropractor. Jessica's been in the comments saying how she's had to drive so far from. We had April Myers made a comment about how that would be all she doesn't drive, but it would be a long walk if she was to come from Michigan and all that. So Dr. Roger, you do a lot of other things too. Tell us about what you do in your spare time for fun to keep your mental health going strong.
So obviously I obviously, first I'm a father of 3 great kids. I have a 16-year-old daughter, a 13-year-old son, and a 5-year-old son. So, my main priority for those kids is obviously to make sure I can try to go to all their events. My daughter is quite talented in soccer, so she played club soccer year-round. She started as a freshman in high school on her soccer team. So I try to go travel, follow her. Also, I try to get them trained to be the best they can be, so to get private training, to do the club training. And the same thing with my son. He is very talented in basketball, taking him to training also. I love to work out. So, in my spare time, I made a decision. I go to the gym at least 3 or 4 times a week. It's not only good for your body, but it's good for your mind, So, I love working. I work all the time, but like I said, you got to take care of your body and you got to take care of your mind.
100%. Yes. 100%. Go ahead, Joe. I saw you lean in for
Yeah, Dr. Roger, let me ask you this, and it's kind of an off-base question. Obviously, you mentioned the kids, and that's one thing my dad was good at, is being involved. I played hockey for 15 years, at doing all the things he could. But unfortunately, I never got to enjoy this. Do you ever get the ability to work out with your kids and kind of do some of the sports stuff they do? Because I'm sure that it's like a very special bond that you would have with them. And I was just curious, like if that's something that you're able to enjoy with them.
I love working out. And I just recently started working out with my 13-year-old son, Ethan.
That's awesome.
And the nice thing too is for Christmas, I bought him a lot of things that he could, use in his room just to start. So I wanted to show him a few things. And obviously it was really nice because he asked me, "Hey Dad, can we work out together?" Which was kind of like a highlight of my life because I
that's
love
awesome.
that.
Yeah.
My daughter, obviously, she's 16-year-old. We were still super tight, but I actually pay for her to get trained because she has a tendency not to listen to her dad.
As most kids do.
Yes.
Oh,
that's awesome. I think that bond is very special, and I'm sure your son really appreciates those workouts more than anything else. So I'm just happy to hear, you being a younger, fit dad and very active, that you can enjoy that bond with your kids.
Oh, definitely. Nothing beats actually watching your kids excel, So, it's really interesting. My dad worked all the time, and we never knew what he worked to support us. So when I opened the second office, now I work like 8 to 7 all the time. So, but you do it for your kids. But hey, whenever they have an event, I make sure if I'm available, I go.
I love it. You like to travel too. I've seen his pictures lately. I'm like jealous. I'm like, how do I get in Dr. Roger's suitcase? I just want to be able to fly with him somewhere.
You got to decompress your spine quite a bit.
No, again, one of those things too. I believe in. Hey, you have to work hard, and you gotta go to places so your body can relax. I mean, that's how your body heals. If you're stressed out all the time, your body has higher cortisol levels. I mean, vacations are something which can reward you. You can spend time with your family, sometimes your kids, which is invaluable. That's like the best thing. So, I mean, vacations I feel like are huge. I mean, who doesn't love to travel? Even during the COVID, I went to Cancun. I regularly go to Florida. Actually, a lot of times for conferences, and then I make a little vacation of it. But I highly recommend it. It's good to get away, especially when you live in Ohio. I mean, vitamin D and sun is huge. So when I vacation, a lot of times it's in the wintertime.
I love it. I love it. So I have everybody's name in here. I'm actually attaching your link one more time. Everybody, this is Dr. Roger's Facebook center or Facebook link. You can click on that and be able to go right to following him at the Disc Center of America's Cleveland location. But everybody's name that's in here right now, I'm going to go to the wheel and do a spin. Dr. Roger is offering a massage. Is that correct?
Massage. Yes.
Free massage. So I'm going to ask one more question, and then any other comments that come in before we finish, you finish answering, I will put them in with us. That way they can do it. But Dr. Roger, how do you want to leave your impact on the world?
Well, I mean, obviously, why I do what I do, I love helping people. It's such gratification where, somebody's facing back surgery or I have a woman who's been in a wheelchair who couldn't walk for 5 years. Now she's able to start walking a little bit. I mean, that's huge gratification to actually change people's lives for the better.
Yeah.
And that's why I love what I do.
I love that. That's it. That is such a great thing that you get to see people develop like that and grow like that and get back to being them. It's the reason I do what I do. It created what I did is I really wanted to be able to teach people the health benefits between not just CBD, but being able to grow themselves, because I think a lot of people get stuck in these negative mindsets. They think I bet people have met you and thought they're not going to walk again like that lady in the wheelchair. And then all of a sudden they see there is a opportunity out there. So please know I'm very honored that you not only use my product, but that you talk so highly about it. It is a huge honor, sir. So thank you very much. So do you want your name on the wheel to win anything, like the $25 gift card to
we go somebody else win that, but I love your positivity. I totally believe. I mean, you can't have a positive life with a negative mindset. So, no matter what you got, whatever you want to do, you have to believe to achieve it.
Absolutely, 100%. I couldn't have said it better myself. I love it. So I am going to spin the wheel right now, and we are going to see who wins some prizes. The prizes today is let's start with, you get a massage from Dr. Roger, his team. You get if you get it from Dr. Roger, guys, I might just be the ones winning that one. You get a box of CBD to help you get your calm, balance, and delight from Delight Cafe CBD. $25 gift card from the Hairy Buffalo Painesville, one of our sponsors. And last but not least, a t-shirt from Wags for Kids. So I'm going to spin the wheel. I got it on the screen right now. I think I do at least. I do. Good. I had to switch back. I'm going to spin the wheel, and whoever's name it lands on, they're going to win a prize. So here we go. Oh, that's awesome. Kobe, congratulations, my friend. You have won a prize for being able to get Kobe, you get to meet Dr. Roger's team. You get rubbed out. You get a good massage. You're going to get stretched. I heard you're going to get taller. That's my goal when I visit Dr. Roger.
And real quick, Brandon, tell Dr. Roger who Kobe is, because Dr. Roger has a link with Kobe and doesn't probably even know it.
He does.
I think I know Kobe.
I was like, you know him already.
Yes, I think you know.
I love it. But Dr. Roger, this has been amazing. You taught us stuff. I've watched the comments come in that there's people that literally said they did not understand. They didn't like the chiropractors. My favorite was they were saying how the chiropractors in Alabama might not be the same as up there in Ohio, obviously. You are one of a kind. You were so awesome to come on here, Dr. Roger. I will be sharing this to everybody, and thank you so much for coming on. Do you have any final words for everybody before you go?
No, I mean, thank you for having me. I really appreciate both of you guys having me on the show. I'm out here about preaching natural health, and obviously CBD oil, the chiropractic, spinal, it all works together. So, I mean, if you're in pain, go the natural route.
I love it. Dr. Roger.
Yeah, thank you, Dr. Roger. I would say the pleasure's ours. You know, we understand how busy you are being a business owner, being a doctor, being a father, being a husband. So we appreciate you taking an hour out of your busy schedule to help educate and inspire people around you. So thank you again.
My pleasure. Definitely 100%. My pleasure.
So Dr. Roger, have a great one, guys. Go follow him. And this was the H, an honest conversation about health. Whoop, there we go, Dr. Roger. Happiness, I'll go to me on that one. And hemp, and I'll point to Joe.
Oh, no, other one. Yeah, there you go.
Yep, there we go. I'll point to Joe on that one. An honest conversation about health, hemp, and happiness. Guys, share this. Subscribe to our YouTube channel. Give us a follow and a like. And thank you all again. Dr. Roger, have a great day.
You guys have a great night. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Sure, guys.
This last one's just for me to rub it in one of my friends' faces because he still hasn't done a shot, and I know he's watching. Boom. Thanks, guys. Have a great one.